What's up? We are back with more Odd Taxi. This is episode 4. So last episode we had some stakes were raised. There was a little bit of a conversation with Dobu, I believe his name is. There was like some date stuff happening in that, like, I feel like Miho and Odokawa kind of had, you know, some more flirting going on, but at the same time we also had our single bachelor boy and shiho, is that the idol's name? They sort of seem like they're going on a date, but there was like spooky music, I remember. So I was unsure whether that was like implying that she was doing something, or those guys that are following them were like sinister, or something bad was gonna happen. I don't know. It was also raining, so there was definitely like a mood there, but we don't know where that mood's going. So let's just get into the episode. Let's just see what happens. Make sure to support this video if you can, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and go to my Patreon account for the full-length reaction as well as early access. You can get next week's episode right now. I mean, all cards on the table. I'm recording this video a little bit late, so unfortunately this full-length version was a little bit late. So hopefully, if I have my shit together, normally I have my shit together, next episode should be on my Patreon account right now in full-length version, so go check that out. But let's jump into this. This is Odd Taxi episode 4. That fucking sax solo gives me feelings every time. Oh my god.
I'm serious.
Soga.
Hey, slow down. What are you trying to do?
Our story begins 4 years ago.
Oh?
I don't care for modern games, honestly. Games are supposed to be an escape from reality. It's no different than reality. Going back even further,
Why are we
when I was
seeing
in the
this?
3rd grade, there was a brief period of time when collecting erasers was all the rage.
Oh, cool.
However, we came to discover there was one loophole.
If it was,
Stationery.
yeah, stationary.
Erasers of varying types are usually included with stationery sets, so our class became obsessed with collecting them.
That makes
It was
sense.
that alone determined our class hierarchy. Strong fighters, attractive kids, artistic kids, and funny kids.
Kids who have obvious
naturally
things
stood
to
at the
offer.
top. Collecting erasers was the last hope we could cling to for squeezing into the top.
Makes sense.
Nope,
That is kind of how
still
school
lying,
works.
Still exaggerating.
Oh,
Me and another kid named Sato. Sato was the bane of my existence. His parents frequently traveled for work, which meant he was lonely. He'd ask his parents to bring him rare erasers as souvenirs from their travels.
Damn.
It was because I was fortunate enough to already possess one rare eraser.
Oh, it's
It
like
was
a
shaped like
dodo?
a dodo.
Yeah.
My relatives bought it for me while they were overseas. I loved birds. I read
Aw.
my bird one time. I begged my father to buy me a bird as a pet. He took me into the pet shop with the understanding that we'd just look
But-
around, but he ended up buying me a gray male cockatoo.
You guys are animal people.
I named him Maru. He
You're a
told my
cat.
mother he was trying. They bought my brother expensive computer games, so Maru must have been cheap by comparison.
Oh, there's an anime figure there.
I'd smugly returned to using an ordinary eraser after trying several other ones. Or say things like, "This is what they use at art colleges instead of erasers," while using bread. Then something happened.
Donraku. You're not gonna get scammed, are you? Is that
This
real?
is it. I returned home, and once my family was asleep, I took my father's credit card from his wallet.
Oh,
and wrote down its
damn.
number and other info. I became a little sentimental, but that's a story for another time.
This is an interesting story, but why are we seeing it?
Since my time at the computer was limited, there was no time to strategize. I bid immediately. It was 3,000
Don't go
yen.
crazy.
That was.
Hey, what are you doing? Stop it.
I
Did he-
erased the history and any other trace that I'd used the computer.
What did he bid
I ate dinner
at?
with my family like no. I was like a super spy and a super hacker.
Oh, I'm scared. But the bird saw.
It went up.
I
Yeah.
had a rival.
Road to 4,000, yep.
Battling an opponent with unknown intentions and budget is the charm and the curse of online auctions.
Unknown.
However,
I mean,
I
oh, I
was
see.
determined.
Never mind.
I typed forth.
This is actually stressing me out.
Time.
While the police kept presenting more and more physical evidence against me. No,
I mean,
that too is an exaggeration and a lie.
you just gotta give up
But
on
it's
it
true
now.
that the despair I experienced is hard to
Is he gonna do
describe.
like a crazy bid?
That's when it happened.
Oh, he's gonna do a crazy bid. Ah! Oh!
Jerk! No, they're gonna outbid me.
Oh no! Oh! Ah! You're spending like $1,000 on a fucking eraser?
I told you not to touch my stuff.
Oh. Well, I don't feel
The
bad
message
for the
confirmed it.
dad
definitely won
losing
the auction.
$1,000 if that's his
Lost my
reaction
mind.
to
You guys want to play soccer?
your kid using your computer.
Sure.
I believed that the no refunds, no returns policy was just another way of saying I was screwed. Besides, Sato and the rest of my classmates had already lost all interest in erasers.
Damn.
Third graders sure do grow up fast.
Yeah,
don't
they do. Oh!
I reviewed his credit card statement. He beat the living hell out of me.
Oh, you
As he
fucking
was doing
tool.
it, my country, history, civilization,
Jesus.
government,
Oh.
God.
Holy
No
shit!
matter how I looked at it, it was clearly
It went
my
from
fault.
Einstein to Donald
There's
Trump.
only one loser. Games are meant to be played all alone. Just you doing battle against the developer.
Dragon Slayer.
You're a zoo director and you compete for ranks on a worldwide scale. I
Okay.
had plenty of fun playing as much as I could for free. My rank was awful, but I didn't care. I
Yeah.
was happy when I gained guests. And when I acquired a rare animal, my
Mm-hmm.
brain tingled dangerously.
Okay, yeah, you just
There
get a
was
little
one
addicted to a
character I was
gacha game.
determined to get the dodo. The game is set
Ah.
up to a rarity of normal or rare. As an extinct species, it could be pulled from the free gacha, but the odds were extremely low.
Looking
Looking back, I took part
I
in
relate to
eraser
this a lot.
collecting because I had the dodo. In Zuden in order to acquire the dodo.
Mm-hmm.
When I made that comparison, I was meant to acquire it. Maybe I'd spend a little money. I figured that would be it. 500
yeah.
yen to my account and pulled the gacha. The dugong.
The dugong.
Endangered species. So pretty much lost all restraint by this point. I checked out my ranking. It was terrible
Oh,
as
this is
usual.
also
Out of
relatable with the
curiosity,
Miho
let's
games
see
I've been
who's
playing a
number
lot.
one.
Ditch 11? Isn't that your username?
It's 11.
Like on the
The
eBay?
name that conned me out of 100,000.
Oh, no, that was the seller.
No, maybe it didn't arrive because of shipping issues. Or
I thought it was
something.
you. Okay.
Besides, I didn't bear them any resentment at all. It'll be on my past self. And it would be my present self who would save my past self.
What the heck is this story?
I added 100,000 yen.
This is an insane
If
story.
I took revenge, popular around the world. A real big win for the development team.
That woman's cute.
I've
That
now spent
funny
over
woman.
5 million yen on this game. Market size is naturally large. There are even intermediaries who buy and sell entire accounts.
Yes, there are.
Thousands of yen. But that's not it. It's not the same.
It's not how you earn it.
What's it about then?
You want it on your
Ask
account.
myself. I know those fancy words and phrases don't apply here. It's simpler than that. Yes. A sickness. It's a sickness.
Dodo crumb.
Your mouth!
That's vengeance and salvation for the boy I was years ago.
Mm-mm.
And to get closer to Ditch 11, who continues to reign from the #1 spot. I'm coming for you.
This is not what I thought I'd be sitting down to watch today, but I am enjoying it. Or compete. And this game doesn't have like guaranteed. You got it! You fucking got it! Aww.
No, no.
Well, now that you have it, now what?
Oh, my work finally paid off! I did it! I did it! I'm done!
Don't get hit by a bus. Oh, or a taxi. Oh. Right. Right. I forgot. We have seen this guy before. Oh my god. Oh my god. I now remember him. I forgot about him. Well, it shouldn't be stored locally. Surely it should be stored on your account. Oh. The gacha game should have been storing it in the cloud.
Stunned, but fate is cruel.
That
In
is
my
so
darkest
frustrating.
hour, God had taken something else from me.
Oh my god.
It's not as though someone took Maru away from me either. The life expectancy of a cockatiel is about 15 years.
Are you gonna take
To live a full
revenge on
life,
Odokawa?
It just happened to end today. The player often acquires a valuable item. It's convenient. Of course it is.
Do you
After all,
find
someone
something
made
while
it
digging a
that way.
grave?
Who knows? Maybe.
Oh
they
my
programmed it.
god.
Looks like there is a god.
What the
out
fuck?
there. This happened 3 days ago.
He found a gun.
And when you bump into someone, you should apologize.
That's the
It's
radio
common
guy, right?
sense.
Oh my god.
Wait, you've got the face of a serial killer. Just curious.
I don't
My
think I'd
job
say
is
that
made
to
me
a-
inquisitive.
Random
You
person.
sound rural. You chasing a dream or something?
That's right. I came to Tokyo for fame and fortune. And
Ah, the
market
taxi
work.
made him
But
stare
you
at the
haven't
road.
done that yet.
Not yet, but Rome wasn't built in a day, you know. I thought we were on the same road, but now I don't know if we're on the same planet.
It's simply a moment of happiness produced by the release of dopamine.
Yeah.
It always follows after I've acquired something I want. And so what? My other self always asks me in those moments. A truly formless pleasure.
Yeah,
But
when you're
right
kind of
now,
directionless.
I'm experiencing being alive. It's because
Oh,
I found what I wanted the moment I lost my dodo.
Oh, now you have a
It wasn't
direction,
just
but
an
it's a bad
addition to the
direction.
collection that ended. The possibilities excite me.
So they're setting up a
rare item with
villain
potential for development. I believe we all possess
who's
the
just a
impulse to
gacha
attack,
game player.
An impulse that grows more exciting by the moment. Or steeper and more mind-boggling. But this time, it's different. I felt something like a premonition.
Oh my god.
Hey, slow down. What are you trying to
10:22. Remember that. Oh my god. That was a bonkers episode. That was fucking insane. Like, it's so weird that it was such a sort of just like such a strange episode. Like, it felt like it was out of nowhere, but at the same time I've seen these sorts of episodes before where they essentially just like out of nowhere introduce an extremely important character to you just by giving you an entire episode about them. And like it's a really cool idea. I just was absolutely not expecting to get this when I sat down today. I was like thinking about, you know, I wanted to see more about the idol date. I wanted to see more like Miho scenes and stuff. But then once I was in this episode, I was engaged. I was really, really engaged the entire time. Yeah, I like the concept, honestly, of like seeing this guy who's clearly like quite a broken person be the victim of like gacha game stuff, and that sort of like forces him to spiral further and further. Here's the thing. I'm watching this episode as a person who I play gacha games. I play I play a decent amount of gacha games, or at least I have in my life. I personally love gacha games, and like I'm actually saying that just as a general thing. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I love these games, but I love them despite the fact that they're gacha or whatever. I actually kind of unironically love games more when they're gacha, but I do want to put an asterisk on that. I don't think that means, you know, that gacha games are great, you know, because I also do think gacha can be, one, can be quite predatory, but two, even if they're not necessarily predatory, they can have consequences for people. I personally love gacha because I feel like I am not a victim of gacha games. I tend to kind of just benefit from them. Most gacha games I play them almost entirely free to play with the exception of like I'll give like a little bit of money here or there if there's, you know, if I feel like I've played the game a long time and it's okay to, you know, put a little bit more money towards it at this point, you know. So I'll give like, you know, for Genshin, I might buy like the battle pass type thing in Genshin like once every 4 or 5 months or something. So it's like I'm throwing like, I don't know, 10-15 bucks at it for a game that I play a lot. You know, I play it basically every night. I feel like that's a fair amount to send it, you know. But then there's games like, you know, Honkai Star Rail, because I'm talking about the MiHoYo games right now because they are the main ones I play right now. I've played a lot in the past. I would say 99% of gacha games that I've played, and I've played quite a lot, I think, I never spent any money on. I think the only ones I've spent money on are Genshin Impact, Bang Dream Girls Band Party. I'm sure I spent money on that at some point, but not really much for how much I played that game. And I think possibly the My Hero Academia, I think it was like Strongest Hero or whatever, that game. I think I spent maybe a tiny bit on that as well at some point. But all of these games were games I played a fuck ton. I've played a lot of, like, I'm all caught up on the content in ZZZ, and I have no desire to spend money on it right now. Like, I love that game. I fucking love it. It's incredible, and I haven't spent a single dollar on it, and I don't feel like I need to. So it's like, for me, I get addicted to gacha games, but I don't get addicted to, like, I don't get addicted so much that I'm like, well, I need to put money in because I need this character right now. I just get like upset. I'm like, oh, I didn't get the character. That sucks. And then I move on. I move on with my life. Some people struggle with that, and some people can let themselves spiral with that. I think that's kind of with any addiction. I don't have an incredibly, like, I don't think a super damagingly addictive personality where, like, for example, I do every once in a while go to, you know, slot machines, casinos, type stuff, that type of stuff, and I will generally, you know, put in $5-10 bucks, and I'll just play on 10-cent spins, and I'll just go until it runs out, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. That was fun. I can kind of do that, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to do all of that as context for, I am watching this from the perspective of someone who loves gacha games, because I really love the rush of, like, pulling for characters. I love the idea of, like, the sort of risk of not getting the character is actually really fun to me. So my perspective is, I love gacha games, but I also acknowledge that they do have a danger, especially to people like this. This is a character, his name is Tanaka, right? This is a character who sort of craves, he craves the dopamine of it, but because his life is sort of like directionless, because he didn't have like a proper way area he wanted to go into necessarily, or like actual goals or anything in life, and because he's sort of like self-deprecating enough to count himself out of most things that he, you know, might have wanted to do. Because of all of that, he finds those sorts of little moments of dopamine hit so much harder, you know? And so, like, and he also finds like these lofty goals. Now, it sucks that he's playing a gacha game that seems like it probably has a terrible pity system, because if you were doing I feel like if you were going for a character for as long as he was in like a Hoyoverse game, you should be able to get it. I guess maybe not necessarily. I guess there's some exceptions to that. But a lot of gacha games, if you don't know, they have like pity systems where it's like, if you do pull this certain amount of whatever, then sometimes it'll be like you're guaranteed to get this certain character. Sometimes certain games will have like a pity system where it's like once you pull a certain amount of times, if you haven't got the character you want, you'll just get the character you want. Or you build up these like bonus credits and you can spend these bonus credits on a character that you want or whatever. But yeah, it seems like probably this game might have a pity system, but it's not that specific. It's more of a general, you get extra pulls after a certain amount of time, or you get special characters, but it won't necessarily be the dodo. He wanted the dodo specifically. So yeah, I think it's I mean, it's honestly as sort of like funny of a concept as it is, like the idea of like a gacha game player whose life spirals once he loses the character he's been pulling for in the gacha the entire time. Like, it's a kind of funny idea, but it's also very sad, and it is also, to me, very interesting. And like the problem is now, because of this happening, he's had this like warped, like he spiraled into depression, but also now has this warped idea of, well, I have a goal now, and he starts to feel a bit of fulfillment in this new goal, and this new goal is to get revenge on Odokawa by the looks of it, you know. I don't think he specifically said those words, but that seems to be the implication, is he wants to get revenge on Odokawa. So I'm really curious to see where that's going, because was it last episode? It was in a previous episode, I feel like, that it was definitely in a previous episode. I can't remember if it was like the last episode or the first episode, or I don't know, but where he did drive and we saw the guy go, I got the dodo, and then he jumps out of the way. So it's funny that it was like in a previous episode it was just like a little gag, and it's sort of a classic gag, you know. You just have someone who, oh, they have a great moment, but then they're almost hit by a car or whatever, or they lose it, you know. Sometimes you'll have that gag where like someone will have a lottery ticket and they scratch and they go, I got the $1 million, and then they're immediately hit by a car, or they you know, the car drives by and the lottery ticket flies away, and it's like a moment of comedy in a thing where it's like, oh man, that guy just had the best day of his life and then the worst day. But now we're actually focusing on that character, and they spent the entire episode like relating us to him again, and I had forgotten who this character was at the start. I was just like, I don't know why we're being introduced to this guy. I did not remember him at all until they showed that scene again. And I think I only remembered it after they showed it again, because I was like, oh look, he played a gacha game, and I might have made a reference to gacha games that I play at the time in my reaction. I can't remember. But yeah, it was really cool, and it was also good, like, I think showing early on, you know, the eraser thing, like how, oh, he was getting the sort of, he was going for that sort of popularity and that dopamine feeling from getting special erasers, and hopefully getting other people impressed by that. But then also the idea of like, he got started with like bidding on this eraser, and the frustration of like, he thought he might have had it in his grasp, and then the other person was bidding higher than him, and it was frustrating, and so he just like threw all the money at it that he could, you know, and didn't end up getting it, right? He never ended up getting the eraser. He just got scammed out of it, which is like really fucked. that absolutely sucks. But yeah, and it was very sad that his dad beats him. I mean, that's just, I've talked extensively about how I don't like that sort of domestic abuse. So I like, a lot of the times when this shows up in shows, I talk about it for a long time. Then sometimes I get comments of people defending it, and I'm not a fan of it, and I don't like having those conversations. It's not very fun. So, but I'm just gonna say it's just a very sad situation, and I think it can really mess someone up, and it, I think, definitely contributed to his personality not being super stable. I wonder why he might not be stable. But yeah, I also think it's like, again, it's sad but funny, the idea that he's like burying his bird and comes across a gun that's buried in the park. Like, that's a really cool that's a really cool little moment. Now, I might be, this might be stupid, or this might be like me remembering the main purpose of the show or whatever, but was that gun buried in a previous episode, like by Dobu or something? Or am I misremembering that? Because I have this image in my head of someone burying a gun, and now I can't remember if I'm like fabricating it to be, you know, an animal person who's burying a gun. So I'll have to go back and look at some point at these previous episodes and remind myself if that was something that had happened, and this was like the show going like, oh look, this is, let's say, Dobu's gun that he buried in a previous episode, and this guy found it. Or if it's like maybe going to be in a future episode, we'll see how that gun was buried there. I'm saying it out loud now, admitting that I can't quite remember. I watch so many shows. I watch so many TV shows. Stuff blurs together. But you can see I'm trying. I'm taking notes. I don't think I took any notes that said like buried gun or whatever. So I like, yeah. There's nothing. So I'm just doing my best. But I do have Dobu gunpoint, but I don't think that helps. But yeah, anyway. Was that it? Oh yeah, and also I just wanted to talk about in this episode, like, these are animal people, but there are also animals, because there are birds, and they're just regular birds. They're not bird people, they're regular sized birds. So I don't think it matters. Like this might be like I guess like a Pokemon situation where there's like technically animals in the Pokemon universe, or at least there seems to be at sometimes, but then other times it seems like the Pokemon are supposed to be, you know, like the animals of this world. But then every once in a while there's like actual seemingly animals in the world at some point, or there's like implications that those animals still exist in this world, but we just like it's confusing, you know. So I wonder if in this show, I don't think it matters, but it's like, is it like just birds, you know, or if there's certain animals that they're not animal people, they're just animals, or is it like there are animal people and there are animals, and so, you know, there's Odokawa, who's like a walrus person or whatever, right? But then there's also real walruses, walri. I don't know if that is but there we go, walruses. And you know, in their universe, it's like, oh, if you're a walrus person, you're a person who shares genes with a walrus, and that's like a normal thing, maybe, you know. Or the most likely thing is it doesn't matter. It's just a fun way it's just like a fun little art style, a fun way to present this universe. I feel like that makes sense as well. So anyway, that is ODDTAXI, and that was an odd episode, but I really liked it. Episode 4, thank you for joining me. Make sure to support this video if you can, liking the video, commenting down below, subscribing to the channel, all that stuff helps me out a lot. And go to my Patreon account for full-length early access and exclusive videos. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.